Hi there. Welcome to Draw With Me. I'm Danny Gregory, and it's Thursday. It's time to do some drawing. As you can see, last week we drew bold people, and I decided to become bold as a result. I was so inspired by your work, and all the different versions of bold celebrities that we made last week. And I said, to heck with it. I'm going to go bold. I hope that you will do the same. As you can see, today, change of location. Out of the house, out in the garden. And this is not a background. I would get up and walk back there, but I'm not wearing trousers. But yes, and you'll hear incessant birds. I'm not sure what we're going to do about this. We're going to have to get rid of these, have a guy come in and deal with this bird infestation that seems to be all around us. But it's just very nice to be outside again. As you may or may not know, in Arizona, our weather system is such that we flip the year around. So while other people are out enjoying themselves in the summer, we are hunkered down in our air-conditioned hovels. And then when fall comes, it's spring. And soon we will have summer, even though it's winter, but we can be outside. And it's really nice. So I thought it's time for us to get outside. I don't know if we'll do this every week, but I would like to do it. It's nice. It's just nice being out here. The temperature is nice. What is it? 73 degrees right now. So very nice, very pleasant. And so we're going to be focusing on nature today. We're going to be doing some nature journaling. I don't know if you've ever done that. Nature journaling is basically an opportunity to engage with nature, to study it a little bit, to try and see what's weird about it, try and figure it out, take some notes, do a bunch of different drawings. So make sure you have, you could have anything, honestly. You could do this with a ballpoint pen. You could do it with, oil paints. You could do whatever you want. But, a little bit of color might not be bad. And if you have some nature around you, or a plant in your house, or something that you'd like to study, by all means. I'm going to be studying one of our trees here, which is in full fruit right now, or getting there. So I'll be sharing some pictures that I took actually yesterday afternoon of one of the trees, or one species of tree here in the thing. It just occurred to me I didn't put on any mosquito repellent. Yes, we still have mosquitoes here. It's really, really fun. Okay, before we get into that, I wanted to tell you about a brand new workshop that we are just launching, which is with my friend Chris Kaler. Chris has taught for us twice before, and people went berserk over his workshop because he works in ink brushes in various ways. If you've never drawn with a brush, it's phenomenal. I love doing it. I do it a lot. But he is a master, an insane master of it. And he's doing, in this workshop, it's going to be about combining ink drawing with wash. So yes, hi. Oh, yes, I'll be spraying myself while you watch this.
Hey, this is Chris Kaler. I have an awesome new workshop coming up, and I hope you'll join me. One of my favorite tools is pen and ink combined with ink wash. It has allowed me to create work for everyone from New York Times to Marvel Studios. And I want to show you these techniques. We're going to create two beautiful finished illustrations that are detailed and vibrant using a full tonal range. One in grayscale and the other full color. You're going to come away with tips, tricks, and rich illustrations inspired to create work using these techniques. Whether you're picking up a pen for the very first time or whether you're a working professional, I think you're going to fall in love with this. Join me for this workshop. We're going to have a great time.
I also think you're going to fall in love with Chris Kaler, because he's he's just an incredibly nice guy, incredibly good teacher. And we've been working on this workshop for a while now, and I have to say it's one of those workshops that's crystal clear and yet inspiring and yet gives you room for doing stuff, and you want to spend time with him. And I see Kate has already registered for it. Excellent, good. I think you're going to really enjoy it. And this is a workshop, if you've never done this, this is perfect for you. If you've worked with ink wash and pens before, if you've studied with other second-rate teachers, fine, do all that. Now you're going to learn not only the basics, but also some incredible techniques that take it to the next level. It's also just really fun, kind of meditative, calm, working with these layers and stuff like that. So also the tools that he's using are very interesting and probably new to you, because they've been certainly new to me. All right, today we're sponsored by Hahnemühle, and we are going to be working with their toned watercolor paper. And Hahnemühle is giving some of it away. I'm not sure how much of it. How much are we giving away of this beautiful? Have you ever used toned watercolor paper? Did you even know there was such a thing? Yeah. It's a watercolor paper, but it's a tone, and they come in tan and kind of like a light grayish blue. So 5 of them. Wow. Okay, we're giving away 5 of these pads. So you want to get in on this? So write to us, info@sketchbookschool.com. Send us your American U.S. mailing address, and we will be picking a bunch of folks, 5 folks, to get them. Toned watercolor paper. Natalie's mind was just blown. Yes. Earl Grey. It comes in gray. You'll be glad to know. Yes, it is beautiful. Valentina has used it. And as JJ says, we're giving away 5 of them. So write to us. Tell us, hey, I'm interested in this. I want to know about it. The more enthusiastic or intriguing your request, the more likely we are to indulge it. Even though it's random, mysteriously, the people who want it the most tend to win. Such is the way of the world. What else do we have? We also have our friends at Winsor Newton have graciously given us a set of these Pro Marker watercolors. Perfect accompaniment to toned watercolor paper. They are markers, but they are watercolors. I use them all the time. They're beautiful, and they don't, best of all, unlike so many other kinds of markers, they don't bleed through the page because they're watercolor, and they're beautiful to work with, and you can activate them. Again, we're giving away a set of those. Please write to us and tell us that you're interested, because we would love to give them to you. All right, let me caffeinate and get ready for this. Are you ready? Have you gotten your? It doesn't have to be toned paper. It doesn't. I mean, here's what I like about this. This toned paper it's somehow evocative of, I don't know, Leonardo da Vinci's sketchbooks. We'll see how that comparison holds up after you see me draw. But I like tan brown paper with lettering and little kind of doodly drawings. This is something about it that's kind of, I don't know, makes me feel like a naturalist, or like I'm doing something interesting. All right, Daisy's ready to roll. That's excellent. Fran is ready. At first I thought you'd popped out for a smoke, and I was like, that's interesting. But yes, into the smoke, the fog, the freezing cold. Peggy, I'm sorry we can't give you. These were sponsored by Hahnemühle USA. How would it look if we were supporting people who don't live in America? It just wouldn't be right somehow already. But Earl Grey's ready, Beverly's ready, and Valentina's gone off to get some special paper. So let's get into this. Okay. So here's my paper, and here is so this is a picture in our garden of our pomegranate trees. We have 3 of them, and we have a few others. I took some pictures of the others. So I took these pictures yesterday afternoon because sometimes the morning light can be super harsh, and I knew I wouldn't be able to quite get them and do all the camera stuff. So I took these pictures, and we're going to do a series of different drawings. So this is kind of more of like just an overall sketch of like what does the tree generally look like. It is a little high contrast. So I also have another picture of the tree from another angle. So we could do that. Let's do a couple of little drawings. Oh, that's another one. So this is from the other angle. You can see there are three, and then each tree is made up of lots of little individual treelets. So I think I'm going to just kind of think about that, and maybe just do a little drawing over here of these things. I kind of like the shaggy hair that they have. It's kind of wild hair. So I want to make sure I capture that thing, and just also capture the fact that they are sort of multiple trees. When you get up close to them, you see they're like lots of little trees that make up this one tree, and all these trees kind of blend into each other. You can also see that they are full of fruit right now. Pomegranates are in season right now, or close to season. They're kind of like fall fruits, and we have these trees here. We have some other ones in the front that I'll show you a picture of in a minute, and those trees are, well, they're also obviously in fruit, and we've been learning a lot about them. We've been learning about how to look after them better. And because at first, when we first saw them, we thought, oh no, like what is this even? Pomegranates on a tree? It just seems so exotic and strange, So, I'm drawing with a pencil, by the way. It's a caramel pencil. Caramel. It's not made of caramel. It's made of wood, but it is caramel colored. Caramel. You make candy apples with caramel. Caramel apples, maybe pomegranates? No, sounds kind of disgusting, actually. So we will get closer and look at these trees more closely in a minute. But for now, I'm just sort of drawing the just kind of general shape of them. Where are the shadows? How do they grow? It's kind of interesting that they all grow together like this. We actually have a string of lights on this tree that light up at dusk. Kind of loop among these trees. But I think I might do a bit of watercolor. Or should I wait? I think I'll do it now. I have this set of Winsor Newton makes this. I showed you last week that they make this set that is this one that is for drawing people, portraits. But then they also have this one, which is for drawing flowers. Different set. You see, I made a little sample card here, and I might just hit it with a little bit of color, just for the sake of it. After all, it is watercolor paper, so I want to kind of capture that. And I also, one of the most important things I want to do here is avoid sticking my brush in my cup of coffee. Sure, you've done it. You might be doing it right now. So this is obviously not watercolor pencil because it is not reacting to the wet brush. It's kind of cool to have a watercolor set that is custom made, not custom made, but purposeful made. I mean, you can do this yourself, of course. You can get a watercolor set, and then you can decide what specific colors you want. Like if you're going out to do urban sketching, let's say. The thing this doesn't have is a bit of Payne's Gray. So I'm going to get that from my other set. Yeah, it doesn't have Payne's Gray. But anyway, you could say, all right, I'm going to go out, or if you're traveling, I remember going to Florence and to Tuscany, and having a set that was really about the colors that I knew I would find there. So I knew that I would find the kind of a lot of these sort of cypress trees, you know, dark greens, and I knew that I would find the red tile roofs that are part of the Tuscan landscape. So, and of course the incredible blue skies. So I traveled with just a pretty limited set, and that was cool, you know. It was all I needed, really, and I didn't have to carry a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to put in just a couple of... Whoa, that was not a good idea. And here's a giant pomegranate right there. All right, so maybe that's a lesson. Do it with some little colored pencils rather than getting... Because obviously that was a mistake, because that was wet on wet. But yeah. So, all right, so that's a general view. I'm going to move on now and have a look at another one. So this is the same set of trees, but from a different angle. So I'm just going to draw that quickly, and maybe I'll draw it on the opposite page, kind of like a framing device, you know, to have another little grove down here. But you can see, here you can see the trees a bit more closely. You can see the trunks, and should put a light on there. Yeah, here you're starting to see the fruits more closely. So these pomegranates, when we first came to our house, nobody had really tended to them for a long time. And they were pretty wild, and they were just, the trees were kind of filled with dead fruits from the previous year. Because that's what happens is, if they don't fall off the tree, they just kind of hang up there in the tree and they turn black, really unattractive. So, you know, we were kind of concerned about that, and we just had no idea, like, how do you even look after these things? So we started to prune them a bit, not prune them, but at least harvest the pomegranates. And then we did actually prune them a bit, and they're actually going to get pruned again pretty soon, because this is the kind of the time that you do that, apparently. And we also wondered, what are these actual, like, are these real pomegranates? I mean, pomegranates always seem like kind of exotic things. You see them in the supermarket. They're pretty expensive. You know, I mean, we've seen them in our supermarket for like $5, $6 for just one, and we get literally hundreds of them. I mean, hundreds, an infestation of them, and then they will fall on the ground. The birds will eat them, and they're kind of a mess, like fruit can be if you don't look after it. So, you know, we tried to learn a bit more about them, and we learned that, and this is fairly obvious, that if you harvest them, they like it, and they grow better. Because the first year when we picked them, there was, I don't know, we opened up these pomegranates, and they were kind of white inside, and they were not very tasty and just not nice. So the second year, which was last year, we had looked after them a bit, and we had harvested them, and they kind of had a sense that, oh, okay, actually somebody wants these fruits besides the birds, so maybe I'll try and do a better job at it. And so it was better, and the fruits were better. And then this year, we think they're going to be better still. So there's, you know, pomegranates are like art supplies. Use them or lose them. So that is the lesson here. All right, so that's another point of view. So now I have this page that has 2 sets of pomegranates on it. Let's see what else we can gather from that. And then, yeah, so this is the ones we have in the front. You can see they're a little bit more anemic. We haven't really done as much with them, and they're kind of growing up against this wall. But I don't know that if I can, what to do with them. JJ points out that once we did harvest all of them and we didn't know what to do with them, we made pomegranate margaritas. Turns out the pomegranate margaritas are really good. You know why? Because they're margaritas. Yeah, I mean, the pomegranate part of it is like, I guess, it's a story, but the interesting part of it is definitely the tequila. So, yes, that is what we've learned about pomegranate margaritas. So, and oh my God, what a lot of work. You will not have a drinking problem if you make homemade pomegranate martinis. Just because you'll be so completely exhausted from it. Completely exhausted. Yeah. I just realized that my camera was backwards. Chris is saying we could make grenadine out of it. I guess. It's one of those things you go, you know what? You could just buy grenadine. I mean, Jenny wants to make pomegranate molasses. Yeah, I mean, you feel good because you've made something. You've used the bounty, nature's bounty to do something with it. But I'm a city guy, and I'm used to just going to the supermarket. So I have to get used to that. I have to get over it. I'm a land owner now, a tree owner. That's another weird thing about this whole thing. I own trees. All right. This is the view you were hoping for, right? And we're going to get in closer too. But this is interesting because it's just sort of, here's what they look like when they're growing, in case you've never seen them before. So what should we do? How should we treat this? Yeah, maybe I'll continue with this brown pencil. Feels pretty good. Give it a bit of a sharpen. But yeah, I think that this is not a bad technique. So far, this brown pencil is working pretty well for me. But I'm just going to just draw a few of these here. And they've got that, of course, the trademark little thing that comes off the bottom. You know, I sort of, when I was a kid and we lived in Israel, I seem to remember pomegranates being around. But here's the main reason, and this is a slightly disturbing reason, is that pomegranate, the word for pomegranate, and this is in the Bible, because, of course, the Bible was written in Hebrew at one point, and Aramaic, is the word in Hebrew for pomegranate is rimon. And rimon is also, and this is a word that was very intriguing to me when I was living in Israel and I was 11 or 12, is also the word for hand grenade. So I don't know if that's because they used to look like hand grenades, or hand grenades used to look like pomegranates. I don't know. Not anymore. Right now they look more like pineapples, I guess. Do they even have hand grenades anymore? Do they just have drones that destroy things? I don't know. But so yeah. So that was my association with them. Palms. I do remember pomegranates becoming quite a thing a few years back because they were sort of apparently good for you. They would sell these little bottles of surprisingly expensive bottles of pomegranate juice that maybe even come from Israel. Is that possible? But yeah, I think they're pretty much of a biblical thing, aren't they? I don't know that much about it, but I think that they are something. So yeah, so this is an opportunity to kind of just explore how they grow, how they're growing, what are the leaves like, just seeing like, okay, this is what's a bit different about them. And that's sort of what you want to do in a nature journal, is you want to explore and learn as much as you can about these things from different vantage points, just observing them without necessarily knowing that much about them. But just saying, okay, well, let me just look at this thing and see what I can learn about it by just drawing it. Because here's the thing about drawing, and I hope you know this already, but I'm going to say it anyway. Drawing is about seeing. And when you see things more clearly, you also figure stuff out about it. So now we know how pomegranates grow, and that may not be something that you knew until we did this. So, but it's only by really looking like, well, how are they attached to the tree, and what size are their leaves, and how many are there on a branch, right? Do they grow like berries? They're sort of like apples a little bit, but they're less dense. And you can see that the tree probably put in a fair amount of work to make this thing. They're fairly big. They've got a lot of seeds in them. And that's obviously what their purpose is to pack themselves with seeds and then distribute those seeds when birds and the like come along and eat them. All right, so that's a bit closer up. Pretty good. So what I'm going to do is the last stage of this, and we're not anywhere near the last stage yet, but just so you know, is I'm going to just write some little notes about it and maybe make some call outs. So I want to leave a bit of room for that. I want to leave a bit of room for the notes that I plan to take. I also want to be able to have some room around the page. Like, for instance, I just drew these on this side because I kind of knew that they would be more watercolory. And so I wanted to obviously let this dry. So having it on this side of the page compositionally kind of worked for me, but also practically, I now don't have to worry about putting my hand in the wet watercolor over there. All right, let's have a look at the next one that we have. Okay, so here we are. We're nice and close now. So you can really study one or two or three. And so I'm thinking, let me maybe even switch pencils. Switch to a carmine colored pencil, and just draw a close-up of what these look like. Pretty much of a circle. Can you draw a circle? Not a hard thing to draw. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Nature doesn't make perfect circles either usually. But yeah, so, but it's not really a perfect circle. It's sort of almost has an apple kind of quality to it, right? So I want to, and then you can see a lot of times they have cracks in them because they want to burst open. They want to, so you can see this one has a few cracks. And at first you look at them and you go, oh, that's kind of unattractive. Perhaps a bit unattractive. Not a perfect little fruit. But as far as nature is concerned, those cracks are the doorway that will help the pomegranate do its job. So, we might want to even make note of those cracks. Can't see them as well here. I just know when I look at them up close that there are cracks. So should I draw these leaves? I think I'm going to draw the leaves in green too, in red too, even though I might watercolor them later on. I want to have a few leaves around, not overly. Because again, the purpose of this drawing is not a snapshot. It's not to copy this photo, obviously. It is simply to show these things close up. So I want to show a few leaves, but I don't want to necessarily get crazy with the leaves because I've already done a kind of a medium shot, as it were, medium close-up where I showed you the leaves. So you know that there are leaves. And Now I'm going to try to mix color. Is this sort of in the ballpark? This color is Permanent Rose, with a little tiny bit of cadmium red in it. And they're not quite shiny. They're not like an apple. So I don't necessarily want to go berserk with highlights and stuff. But again, what we're going for is information. So that's why, something like showing how shiny it is in a reasonably accurate way, the purpose is not accuracy in the art of the painting. The purpose is to give information, and the information is what is this made out of? What does it feel like? What is it really like? Sorry, the car drove by. And there's a little bit of yellow down here. Just a little bit. Kind of the fuse end of this thing. But maybe I'll put a little bit of yellow in this one. This one seems a little yellowish. This other one is more of a cool color. And then I'm going to put in just a bit of green for those leaves. Oops, my camera's having a problem here. There we go. So yeah, so that's a bit of information. I'd like to put in some more, but I think I need to let it dry. I just want to fill in these kind of white spots will have some color in them, but I don't want to be impatient, and I want to just let it dry and then come back in and hit that up. Okay. Am I drawing with a colored pencil and then adding watercolor? Yeah, no. I mean, you can see here's a watercolor brush. Here's these watercolors I talked about before. And here's the pencil, which is a regular pencil, not a watercolor pencil. So I am drawing with a colored pencil, and then I'm adding watercolor, yes, as you suspected. So, I have watercolor pencils, and I like working with them. But in this case, what I really wanted to do is to hold the line, not activate the watercolor line, the pencil lines, which is what would have happened if I was using a watercolor pencil. So, and I'm going to add in a little bit of blue now, just to get this. I have this didazidine purple as part of this set too. I could add a bit of that didazidine. It's a great word. So, all right. It looks like an apple and an onion combined. Yeah, it tastes a little bit like an apple and an onion combined. Yes, it's true. It is that shape, that kind of globular shape, if you will. All right. Now, I was going to crack one open for you, but they're not really ripe yet. So I went out and I found a photo of what they look like when they're ripe. This is an opened up one. And this is going to be the final drawing, I think, of this little exploration. So you can see it's cracked open. It's got that white inner shell. It's like a pulp. And again, kind of like an apple, sort of. But yeah, if you open these up when they're not ready, they'll be white inside. It'll all be the color of that pulp. And what we discovered was, I don't know if JJ's already said this, but when you pluck a pomegranate, pick it, it doesn't continue to ripen. So you can't just pluck them all off the tree and just let them sit in a box, which is what we tried to do. What you get then is you get rotten, horrible pomegranates, and that's not what you want. You have to be patient and let them ripen on the tree, but there's no indication from the outside whether they're ripe or not. It doesn't like feel soft because they're always like really hard on the outside, like a little turtle, and it doesn't smell different. You just kind of have to crack open a few and hope that the others are kind of the same. It's sort of annoying. As you can tell, there's a lot of annoying things about pomegranates. We just have a lot of them. We have fewer oranges, and frankly, I wish we had more oranges because I'm a fan of the orange, and they're much more understandable than the pomegranate. But we have pomegranates, so, as the old expression, when life gives you pomegranates, make pomegranate molasses. So as you can see, when I'm drawing this, I'm trying, and I hope you're doing the same thing, I'm trying to look at each individual seed and draw each individual seed. I'm not just drawing like a bunch of random circles. I'm trying to look at the groupings of them, because again, we are trying to observe and record what we see. Now, this photo, it has a short depth of field, so the background ones are a little blurry, but you kind of get the idea of what they're in, what's going on in there. But try as much as you can to be specific in what you're doing. Don't just draw a bunch of little bean shapes. I know that's tempting, but don't give in to temptation. There's some, and I don't know again if you guys have already discussed this, but there's some who said that in the Bible, Eve actually, it wasn't an apple that Eve shared with Adam from the tree of life, thanks to the snake, but that it was a pomegranate. Kind of not as good of a story, more complicated story. If, the snake comes down, talks to Eve, says, hey, go and have one of those pomegranates. And she's like, yeah, what am I going to do with a pomegranate exactly? And he's like, I don't know, you could make molasses, you could make margaritas. I don't know, is that what happened? And then they were like, what, this is too complicated. Nobody can relate to that. Let's just call it an apple. Close enough. And so that's maybe what they did. Who knows? Do we want watercolor here? Maybe, because I think what I want to use the watercolor for is to kind of tell you a bit about what these seeds are like. Because again, when you think about doing this, think, okay, what if I was making this drawing in order to tell somebody who knew nothing about pomegranates what I've learned about them? And so one of the things you would want to tell them is, obviously there's a lot of seeds inside, but also what are these seeds like? You can see that they're reflective. So are they juicy? They're not really juicy pomegranate seeds. They're kind of sort of crunchy. Again, they're, I don't know. Are they anybody's favorite fruit? Let's be honest. I had some mango this morning, and I have to say that's a damn good fruit. I get it. But this thing, I'm not sure. But these are all things that we can put in our notes. Our observations, our thoughts, our feelings about pomegranates and what we've learned about them. We're glad they're around. Is it worth knowing more about them? Are they just kind of a pain? If in fact that's what Eve ate, was it really worth it? She got in a lot of trouble for picking this pomegranate, if that's what it was. I think that's probably why they changed it to an apple, because people were like, wait a minute, who would do that for a pomegranate? That makes no sense. So, yeah. So to make the story credible, they changed the fruit. That's fine. Creative license. It's okay to do that. A little bit of editorial bias. For the sake of clarifying, why not? There's a little tiny bit of yellow in here. You can see that. Now, I'm lucky because I happen to be watercoloring on toned paper. And that is helpful. Because what I could do, maybe I should do, is I could go in, let me do that, with some white. I actually have a bit of Chinese white in here, but see, I could go in with some gouache, and I could register the fact that some of this is kind of whitish. And I could make that part of my exploration, and that's not a bad idea. So yeah, so the tone paper allows me to use white and for you to actually see it in kind of a cool way. So now I can go back and have a look at this. Do a bit of something there. Again, I think I need to let this dry a bit, have a sip of coffee. Yes, I can see that JJ's worried that I'm blaspheming, but I'm ignorant. So, there you go. Este is a fan. You can cook them with fish. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Now, how am I going to take some notes here? I'm going to take some notes with some nut brown ink. I do have a brown marker, but I do have a dip pen. I do have some nibs. I do have a nice fresh nib here. So, let's see, put in the nib and get out the ink. Raise up the camera, swivel it, and here we go. So I might say each tree is made up of many trees or trunks intertwined. And then what else? I could say kind of wild growth up top. Not sure what that indicates, but yeah, they're kind of loose trees. They're not super densely packed. And then I could say, I could say many. I could say, what can I say about the leaves? Or let me see. What can I say about the leaves? The leaves are flat, smooth, and generally light green. Now, ideally, my drawing would already tell you that. I would say surprising number of large fruits, right? Surprising number of large fruits. They're very big, that weigh down the branches. I'll come back to that. So this is from the other side. What can I observe here? I could say cluster of trees cluster grows together. And fruit are distributed up and down the tree. I don't know what that means, but I'll be honest with you. Some of the writing that I do when I do this kind of writing is just because I like the look of the writing. I just I like these little notes, you know? What else can I say about these trees? They're pretty resilient. They're spindly, but resilient. You know, because they're intertwined. You know, so they can. I mean, these are also growing. This is the desert, so that's probably something. But I'm not sure what to say about that, or or how to even prove that that's the case. That there's something special about that. So I'd say zillions of seeds. They are hard. But also have some tasty bits.
They're not seeds, they're arils. A-R-I-L-S.
This just in, they're not seeds. Not seeds. A-R-I-L? Arils. Okay. That's good. But they also have some tasty bits you can get to right away. And what else can we say? The outside. So we can talk about... oh yeah, so this is sort of a fibrous husk. Is that what we call it? A fibrous husk? And you could say they're sort of in segments. They're in little compartments. For arils. And we could say they are very hard exteriors. So it's kind of like they're protecting themselves, which is interesting. They're protecting themselves. Obviously, that's why their exteriors are hard, protecting themselves. But then they crack open when they're ready. They protect arils until they are ready to crack open and see the world. Shiny-ish. And what would you call that little thing at the bottom? Is there a word for that? The kind of fuse? I'm going to call it the fuse, but that's not really what it is. It's... Oh, I know what it is. What's interesting? I forgot to mention this completely. Fuse began as flower. Every one of these fruits began as a flower. So in the spring, the tree is covered with beautiful red flowers that grew into a fruit. Not very articulate, but yeah. All right, so this is not a bad page. I could then do, why don't I do something here like this? Let's just write kind of a little headline for this. Is it granates? How do you spell it? Gran? JJ, do you know how to spell it? Maybe somebody spelled it in the chat. There it is. Pomegranate. Granat. Gran. Sometimes when you're talking and writing, lettering, you can totally screw up the spelling. And there's nothing worse than having like a beautiful page and then you screwed up the you misspelled a word. God, I hate that. All right, that's not bad. So there we go. We have the pomegranate. An exploration. Could put something in here, looking a little bare. And I'm going to go back in and kind of work on this because I don't like these white bits or tan bits, whatever. But that's it. That's good. So yeah, so this, this looks like, kind of looks like one of those things, right? That's my new thing these days, is like astounding myself with my competence. That looks like one of those things. John Muir Laws sort of could have done that. You all knew John Muir Laws? He's our pal who teaches nature journaling for us and is a master. If you want to know actually how nature journaling is really done, John Muir Laws. Get his books, buy his t-shirts, see him in concert, or come to his regular class in Spark. That was good. I feel like I've been holding my breath a little bit. Ooh, here's something in Latin. That sounds exciting. Pomum and granatus. You see? Thank you, JJ. So I was right. My biblical knowledge, deep as it is, came to my aid. Okay. Speaking of being canceled, next week we are being canceled. Not completely, just for 1 week.
You want to tell folks we're off next week in Cortez?
As JJ just said, we're off next week. My wife is really smart, but I'm just that much smarter. Yes, we are going to be gone in Cortez, Colorado. Sounds like a western town? You got that right. Yippee-ki-yay. We're going to be in the mountains. I have only ever been to Colorado once before. It's the adjoining state. Haven't been there since the 90s, probably. I hear it's still pretty good. So we're going to be going there. We're going to go to... We have not been canceled because of the blasphemy. It's true, although I deserve to be. Blaspheming not only against organized religion, but also against art, the art religion. Yes, so Deb is a fan of Cortez. Corinne has been to Cortez. And Melissa is a fan of it too. So yes, we're going to Cortez. I think it's sort of an art place too, right? I think so. We are going to have a week off. I know that's weird. We'll probably come back after. It's not even a week. It's a weekend. It's a weekend. It's near Durango. Yes, Durango. So yeah, that's going to be cool. So we're going to be gone. So we won't be here next week. Feel free to draw without me. And JJ, you probably need to come back on camera next time. We'll do that next time. If you want to see JJ, she is still beautiful. And Corinne's son lives in Durango. Well, excellent. We probably won't see him, but maybe we will. Maybe he'll be in one of the many bars that we're probably going to be going to. So yes, so we won't be here next week, but you can watch another episode. I mean, there are several. I think we've now made 280,000 episodes of Draw With Me, so feel free to watch an old one. And Jane lives in Colorado too. Well, Jane, if you're in Cortez, let's do it. Come on down. Yes, Melissa will watch a recording, so do it. Watch a recording. Meanwhile, sign up for pen and ink wash. You can do it by going to sketch.tiny.us/wash. That's the shortened version, or you can just go to sketchbookschool.com. November 12th, it's coming up, folks. Halloween's almost here. Can you believe it? October is just like, boom, gone. Gone. Almost. Diane wants to know, is there a way to know ahead of time what that week's drawing will be so you can have your supply? I would just say, have your supplies ready. Just have some pens, have some colored pencils, have some watercolors. You don't even need to have all that. You can just have a pen and some paper. So I kind of generally make it up like 5 minutes beforehand. No, I don't, but it doesn't really matter. You can draw with whatever you want to. If you want to draw with what I'm drawing, those are the bits, the things that I use. So if you're new to this and it's confusing as hell, I understand. It's kind of designed to be that. But it's really, I want you to draw however you want to draw. And you don't even need to draw what I'm drawing. If you say, you know what, I can't imagine anything dumber than pomegranates. I really just want to draw manga guys. Draw manga guys. I just want you to draw. And chat. Okay, so yeah, info@sketchbookschool.com if you'd like to get some toned paper from Hahnemühle. If you'd like to get those watercolor markers from Winsor Newton. If you just want to say hi and that you love me and JJ and Twiglet, write to us there. Send us your U.S. mailing address if you want the supplies. Hashtag SBS Draw With Me. Show me your nature journals. Share them with me, please. I would love to see them, learn from them, be inspired by them. Just post them, and even if they suck, I don't care, because honestly mine generally do too. But put it on social media. Put it on Instagram. Put it on Facebook, put it on TikTok. No, probably not. But yeah, put it somewhere and put a hashtag SBS Draw With Me. Art for All podcast, man, it is humming along. Seth Apter was on this week. We were talking about anxiety and art. Seth is an incredible mixed media artist, but he's also a psychologist, trained psychologist, and we talk a lot about art and psychology. Danny'sEssays.com, new one coming out tomorrow. They're free. You get a free book if you sign up. Okay? It's free. Sign up for it, and I'll send you an essay tomorrow, and it will be good. I have a really good one this week. Yes, I have a really good one this week. You're going to like it. And then finally, subscribe to this channel. Why not? It's kind of a mandate if you have a YouTube channel. You have to say subscribe, hit like, send snacks, buy the t-shirt, whatever. Do any or all of those things. And I will see you again in 2 weeks. Don't come next week. Don't come hanging around on the doorstep waiting to come in. Won't be here. We'll be in Cortez mining for gold or whatever it is we do over there. Doing shots of whiskey, getting gold teeth. What else do we do out there? Wrangling, roping. I don't know. We'll find out. Oh, this week on the podcast? No, that was last week. We don't need that.